So basically, just 15 years ago, you always knew you wanted to become a lawyer.
Actually, the path chose me. I didn't choose to become the profession. It really just chose me. I don't know how I ended up studying law. India wasn't recognizing the a law degree right after school. But I was also losing myself, and it only took me till 2016 to realize that I had completely lost myself.
Then we'll move on to this topic. Is as a woman, give me 2-3 examples of was it difficult being a woman? And then he looks at me and he says, "So, what's your name? Preeti? Priya?" I mean, it's like, being a woman. What are you doing in a lawyer's conference? Hi everybody. So as a part of my series of Resetting Your Life, I have an interesting guest today. Her name is Neeha Nagpal. She has been a lawyer for the last 15 years. I've known her for the last 15 years and we're here to talk about her interesting journey. So let's get on with it without any delay. Hi Neeha.
Thank you for having me, Preeti. It's always a pleasure to interact with you. You're super fun, and I've seen how you reset your life, and I'm happy to share whatever little bit I have done with you and all those listening to us.
So I met Neha 15 years ago. I remember this young lawyer behind the desk. And
I'm still young.
Yes, you're still young. We're all young. Okay, it's as old as you are in your mind.
Correct.
And I still remember you were handling an important matter at that time also. It was the 2G case.
Correct.
And at that time I didn't really notice you so much. And over the last 15 years, I've seen you evolve and grow as a human being and as a lawyer. So I want to start with your professional journey. Tell me a little bit about how your last 15 years has been in this field.
So, Preeti, let's just go back a little bit. I think before I really got into the profession, I was a very confused, I can't say confused, but somebody who had a lot of limiting beliefs. I honestly see confusion as a good thing, which a lot of people think is crazy, because I feel from confusion comes clarity. So I see that as a good thing. But I was somebody with a lot of limiting beliefs because of my circumstances. Before I knew it, I was very overweight. I was bullied because of that. And then barely did I come back from university. I studied in England. I came back after my undergrad and masters. And before I knew it, like, life was, crazy roller coaster, because my dad was very unwell. Then he was in the hospital for 6 months, and then he passed away. And suddenly, from being, like this good girl from a Punjabi house where you're very protected, I suddenly grew up to be like this matriarch. And because my dada was very unwell also, so losing my father and grandfather within 8-9 months of each other was not easy. I had a younger brother, my mother, my dadi, and it was a sink or swim situation. That was one piece of it. And I had just come back, and that year India wasn't recognizing the law degree right after school. So they had said, suddenly they were like, if you either do it a 3-year course after an undergrad, or you do a 5-year consolidated. I had a 3-year law degree right after school from England, and then a master. So I had to do like a conversion program here. So it was a constant state of flux. It was not a very evolved mind that I had. I mean, and also I was at a phase where I knew Dad was going, like, it was right in front of us. So when he finally
You mean your dad was terminally ill and...
Well, the hospitals messed him up, etc., etc. He wouldn't have gone for... but I guess it's timing. You surrendered
So
to that.
basically, just 15 years ago, you always knew you wanted to become a lawyer.
Actually, the path chose me. I didn't choose to become the profession. It really just chose me. I don't know how I ended up studying law.
Right.
I was very influenced by my father, who always said, need to know the law of
Was
the
your
land.
dad a lawyer?
He was a businessman. Some of his very close friends were lawyers. Mr. Arun Jaitley being one of them. Arun Uncle has had. Now I look back after he's gone, or to past too, that the way his thought process kind of impacted me, and as a lot that I've learned from his life also, I will share with you.
So basically, when you started law, was your father there, or he had passed away?
I had just got my enrollment with the Bar Council, but before I could start, he'd fallen so unwell that all of that took a hiatus. So after his death is when my life really started professionally and personally, and in a state of flux with a lot of limiting beliefs. So first few years, I just worked like a horse, and I got very lucky that work consumed me. So I thought I'd found myself. While work started giving me a sense of self, a sense of validation, which prior thereto, as girls, you don't have, because you're always sort of brought up in this environment of, oh, you have to be a little timid, you have to be a little, you can't have too much of a voice.
You
Oh,
have to be a people pleaser, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
and you're
Yeah.
very protected.
Right.
And suddenly
Yeah.
I was enjoying my voice, I was enjoying working
Yeah.
hard. It was a virtue that was giving me a sense of self. But somewhere I was also losing myself, and it only took me till 2016 to realize that I had completely lost myself.
What do you mean when you say you're losing yourself?
I was a very happy, chirpy person, and I remember between 2009 and 2016, I was agitated all the time. I was angry all the time. I had, I
So
mean,
you let your work consume you.
I let the
You didn't know,
so
by then you didn't know the balance.
I didn't know the balance, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that there has to be a filter.
Yeah.
We have to protect our own energy. I had not done any energy work at that
Especially
point.
because you're in a field where you're dealing with
Negativity,
criminal law
cases
cases,
and
judgments,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it has an impact.
It
on
does,
you.
and
Yeah.
the thing is that so I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that energy is contagious, and nobody comes to a lawyer or a doctor happy. You won't go to a
Nobody
doctor, like I won't go to a
Yeah, yeah,
doctor
yeah.
because I'm like, oh, I'm missing your face, or
Yeah, yeah.
I have a cold, or I have a headache, or I have
Yeah,
some.
but it's quite interesting that you brought up this, because I mean, of course, my next question to you was, which I'm going to give you right now, and then we'll move on to this topic, is as a woman, okay, give me 2-3 examples of how difficult or how easy or whatever it was to be in this field. I mean, was it difficult being a woman and being a lawyer dealing with corporate clients? Were you ever undermined for who you are and what you stand for? Did you have to really prove yourself extra, you felt? So what do you say?
So I'll give a very honest answer to that. I think it is a man's world out there, and
Yes,
I'm
it
not,
is.
and
I
I'm
agree.
not, and I'm not going
I
to
agree.
sound,
Yeah.
somebody who's jaded to say that. I've been
Yeah.
very lucky,
Right.
but I'll still say it's a man's
It
world
is a
out
man's
there.
world, yeah.
You have to accept that. You have to accept that. Look, you are dealing with against the odds, but how do you internalize it, and how do you carpe diem the moment? One rule I have always followed is be so good they can't ignore you.
Correct.
Second is just know your work so well that your voice will be noticed. And this happened with me some 13 years ago. We were all in a very detailed, we were briefing a senior counsel, a super senior counsel in a matter. Again, the 2G related matter. And 3-4 hours into this whole day long meeting, and there was the clients and super big CEOs and etc., etc. We're all thrashing out a point. And I kept saying, first very timidly, I said, oh, but that's not it. We're not right. We're not right. And the first time I said it, my boss told me, keep quiet. The second time, and that time I was working with someone, now I have my own firm. The second time I said it, he was like, keep quiet. The third time, I was just like, no, but we're wrong. And everybody looked at me suddenly and they said,
Yeah.
okay, Neha, why are you saying this? That we're wrong, because we're not. By then, they had wasted 45 minutes. They weren't
Correct.
finding a solution,
Yes.
and I said, "Give me 2 minutes." And I took them through the facts. I took them through certain specific documents,
Right.
and they all looked at me and said, "Why didn't you say this 45 minutes ago?"
Yeah,
And I kind of made my place there,
Yeah.
and then on. If they needed any document or they needed any fact check, it was always like, yeah, listen, just ask Neha. So yes, I've had to work that much harder to really make my place. But you know what? I've enjoyed it. I don't regret it. It's sort of it's tested my own resilience. It's also tested my own, and then you have to find a balance between your call it your masculine energy and your feminine energy, because you need to feel comfortable within. So the way of doing it, and I think nothing great is achieved without passion. Nothing, and if I don't feel it from the heart,
And without fear, without fear.
Without fear.
I'll tell you, because the reason I asked you is when I had once, of course, I visited lawyers many times.
Yes.
But when I had visited once for the 2G matter for my husband, and I remember sitting in front of one of the senior counsel, and then he looks at me and he says, "So, what's your name? Preeti? Priya?" I mean, it's like, being a woman, what are you doing in a lawyer's conference? And what are you, the sister, so it was a bit, but I didn't take it personally.
Yeah.
I feel the point is, don't take anything personally.
Yeah, you have to just
you have to take it in your stride. And you have to. Then when you are right, when I spoke about it and I discussed the points, and then when they understood you have a brain also. But I think a woman has to,
You have to,
first
have
when
to.
they look at you, they size you up.
Yeah.
Okay, and everybody makes assumptions today, and then you have to tell them that no, that there's something behind.
No, but see, the thing is,
exterior.
that's the whole thing. That
Yeah.
that's the whole energy spiritual work
Correct.
that you do.
Right.
So for me, I was recently asked this somewhere that I was in a law school actually debating. We had a very interesting conversation with these first year law students, and one of them, I don't know, randomly just ended up asking me something on morality, and then the question led to spirituality versus religion. And for me, yes, I'm a practicing Hindu, but for me, forget all of that. I think spirituality matters more. And a lot of spirituality is the concept of oneness, right? And when you are one with the universe, when you are one with yourself, then there's no place for judgment because everybody has their own journey.
There's no place for
Everybody
judgment.
has their
Correct,
own
yes.
path.
Yeah.
And my judgment will be incoherent or incomplete of you for the simple reason that I don't know your factual basis.
Right.
Today
You've not walked in my shoes.
I've not walked in your
Yeah,
shoes.
yeah.
And similarly, you've not
I'm
walked
not
in my
walking your
shoes.
shoes, yeah.
So you will never
Right.
know what has brought me here today to have this mindset.
Correct.
So I think at some level, it's just about leaving the ego
Leaving the ego. I think that's a very big valid
leaving
point,
the
yeah.
ego in the material world.
Right.
And it's somebody really told me this recently. So I had a very interesting interaction with Sahil Mehta. He's this success coach, life coach, and we met at a very interesting interaction in Dubai about a few months ago, and he told me something, and I kind of realized that I was already practicing it, and I thanked him for that. He was like, when you have to go inside and you have to look at your soul, or you have to do the inner work, you have to let go of body image issues, you have to let go of material possessions, i.e. let go of the ego.
So besides being a fabulous lawyer for the last 15 years, Neha is a multifaceted person, and she shares keen interest in health, fitness, and that's what I want to talk about. I'll start by this. I remember there was this post which was all over Instagram that what were you when you were 21? And you posted yourself on a beach, and I called you up and I said, Neha, you're looking so fat in that post. Okay, and you were very proud of who you and what you were and what you are, obviously, even now. But what really, your journey from what it was, did you face a lot of body shaming, and how was it, and how are you so proud of it, and how have you come such a long way in that aspect?
See, I remember that photograph. In fact, you were not the only one who called me, and everybody was like, "Why have you?" It's a big deal, that was me.
Yeah.
I may not have loved that self that much then, but today I love her because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have reached where I am today. So again, like I said, 2009 was a very dramatic year in my life. My father passed away. 2016, 17 were again life-changing years in my life. 2016, I hit rock bottom in a way that I didn't realize, because between 2009 and 16, I was a workhorse.
Yeah.
16, the anxiety, the stress, the mad working hours started getting to me, and I was battling anxiety, serious anxiety. Anxiety and gut health issues.
Correct.
And they are very interlinked. Now I understand that the vagus nerve that connects the body and the mind.
Right.
And what also connects the gut is that the microbiome in the gut is very similar to the microbiome in your skin.
Right.
So my skin, I'd never been to a dermatologist till the age of 26. Suddenly my skin, I got extreme rosacea, and you know what happens with like a rose, when it starts crumbling, it's very red and then it starts going black.
Yeah.
So my skin started peeling off.
Bill Clinton had rosacea, so he always had those pink cheeks.
Yes, but then this
Yeah.
was so it's 4 stages. So mine was the 4th stage, and my skin started going black, and I was just like, oh my god, like what's happening? And
That's a lot for a young girl.
yeah, and I
Who's
was
also little overweight.
I was overweight, and I was
Yeah.
like, my life is over.
Right.
One of my best friends, my Rakhi brother, I was going to London, and he called me up and he said, look, I've been to this sort of therapist, psychiatrist, whatever, and I've consulted with him once or twice. I have taken an appointment for you with him. I said, I'm not going. He's like, you don't have a choice, because it's very difficult to get time with him. 2, I've already paid for it. So you jolly well land up.
I'm glad you touched on that, because self-help and going to a therapist and a psychologist has always been a big taboo with people.
Yeah, so I
yeah.
was at a lovely lunch, and I was like, oh shit, it's time, I better go for this appointment. I landed up there, and he was this really cuddly
Right.
Jewish doctor, and he saw me and he was like, "So what brings you here today?" I said, "Okay, I'm here against my wishes." And he started laughing, and I had a 1 hour session with him. Fortunately, after I was his last patient. By the end of it all, I sat with him for 2 hours. I cried. He had tears in his eyes, and he gave me a hug. He said, "You don't need medication. What you need is..."
You mean for your skin, basically?
No, not for my skin, for my anxiety.
Okay, anxiety.
He said, what you need is to just calm your mind down and let go of all that emotional baggage you're holding. And that'll start. And the report he wrote me was beautiful. And that kind of just shifted something within. It came to a
Right.
place of realization that, look,
Yeah.
I am actually battling anxiety.
Yeah.
And he said, look, if you don't cure it now, you may reach a stage where you need medication, but right now...
And you were pretty young, so I mean, it's not like age which brings you this.
Yeah.
It is because of your experiences.
Correct.
And all what you had to go
Correct.
through growing up.
And then before I knew it, I was very highly diabetic at 32, 33.
You were diabetic?
At 32,
Okay,
33.
I never knew this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's very young to be
very young.
diabetic,
And I had to be put onto insulin. Now, when I got onto insulin, I remember asking
Type 1 diabetes?
Type 2.
Type 2, okay.
And I asked my doctor saying, you're putting me onto insulin, but when am I going to get off it? He
Right.
was an old family friend. He knew my parents. And he looked at me, and my mother was there, and he said, go lose 20 kilos and come and talk to me. And I was like, you think it's so simple? And then again, I was connected to Dr. Anjali Huda by a very dear friend of mine, and she's this functional medicine practitioner, which is what I want to stress upon also. We all want to go to dietitians. Our diet is what we eat. So to say I'm on a diet is a very wrong thing. So when I went to Anjali, she said, let's go to the root cause. That's what functional medicine is. It goes to the root cause. And she got a whole host of blood tests done. She also dealt with anxiety, mental health, etc. And I lost, within a year, within 9 months, I lost 22 kilos. It took a lot of changing food habits. It took a lot of changing lifestyle, sleeping well. It took working out, etc., etc. But once I lost my weight, I was like, listen, I have to keep this weight off. But if I don't understand what is a carb, what is a protein, what is a micronutrient, what is a macronutrient, how am I going to do this? In the quest of that, a friend of mine told me about the integrative school, or IIN, I'm forgetting the name. I know it's IIN New York.
Doesn't matter.
And it was an online course, and it's a health coaching program. And then they have an advanced program, which is gut health and hormone health, which I also did. Through that process, what I love about what IIN taught us was that you have 4 quadrants of your life. And I try and touch upon those every single day of my life, which is what keeps me aligned, keeps me grounded. And actually,
what are those for?
Keeps me on my path of fitness and wellness. And they're 2 different things, fitness and wellness, but very interconnected. I think wellness is a broader concept, and if you are not well, you will never be fit.
I agree.
So the 4 quadrants really it's called the primary plate concept and the secondary plate concept. Secondary plate is everything is on your food plate, and primary plate is everything off it, which is the intangible. So you divide it into 4. 1 is your interpersonal relationships. 2nd is your work. 3rd is spirituality. 4th
I thought you
is
were going to
movement.
give me food names.
No.
Okay.
And,
it's basically
it touches
wholesome.
upon, yeah, it's very
approach.
wholesome.
Wholesome approach.
So for me, work is very important.
Right.
I mean, I work all sorts of mad hours, and
Yeah.
you've also been a
Right,
client at
right,
some
right.
point, and
We expect.
yes, very demanding.
Yes. Oh God, I'm going to say that. Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Yeah. Right.
we've done some good work for you together. So that's one bit of it. But yes, I've also now learned how to switch off when I have to.
You have to.
What is
Correct.
very important for me is my workout, and I try to pack that in either early in the morning, whether it's my boxing or whether it's a walk or whether it's yoga.
Yes.
Or just going to the gym and some weight training.
Yeah.
Coupled with the other aspect is spirituality. Now, for me, spirituality has very different connotations.
So how do you define spirituality versus religion?
So let me just finish this 4 quadrants. So for me, spirituality on a daily basis is either meditating for 10 minutes or doing an act of kindness towards somebody whom I don't know and I have
Right.
no expectation from.
Right.
And the last is relationships. Now, I try to touch upon to be in touch with my immediate universe,
Right.
which is my mother, brother, and of course some of my top 5 people. Whether it's a message or whether it's a quick phone call, sometimes between court or sometimes just late at night.
Acknowledge. You basically want to acknowledge all these people in your life.
So that it
Yeah.
makes me feel very wholesome and very complete. And therefore the triggers of, oh my God, I'm hungry, also get, because you're so full, you're so well within that, you're not looking at food to
It's interesting because it's people speak about
emotional eating. So the minute you're
I mean, I'm upset, I want to eat.
correct, but why are you upset?
Yeah.
That's also part of
Correct.
functional nutrition. When you go to the root cause, I realize that I start looking for food when I'm agitated, and because I've come into that awareness, I distract myself, and that doesn't happen. So it's all flows from the primary
It's beautiful when you have sat down and contemplated and looked at it from that aspect.
aspect,
So
yeah.
you, like she said, look at it from the root
Root
cause
cause,
and
yeah.
solve this from
So you
that
go to the
angle.
root cause
Yes,
and you
yes,
actually
yes.
sort it from there.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And then also what spirituality helps
Right.
you do is come into your awareness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
So then it's not like mindless.
yeah, mindlessness and
mindless eating, like sitting and watching TV and
and
eating,
eating, yeah.
or you work so much,
Much.
so you just put something in your mouth
Mouth
and you're
and-
not aware
yeah.
of that. And it's wonderful to hear how you've also incorporated exercise, because I keep seeing your updates and your boxing and whatever you keep doing, you're at it. And what I really appreciate and admire is how you loved yourself at every stage of your life.
You have to. I mean, no, I
Um,
didn't. Actually, I'll tell you something. I didn't love my stage at every stage of my life. Today, I absolutely am in love with myself.
That's
but I
wonderful.
also go back to that little girl or that plump girl, and I do love her because
Yeah.
I'm grateful to her, because if it wasn't for her,
Correct.
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But I have to mention one of my best friends actually loved me at my worst, and I think that's one of the reasons he will always be in my life, because
Yeah.
he loved me at my worst and kind of made me accept who I was.
Yeah.
So you need all those people in your
No,
life
so
also.
that's why. So then, my next question to you is about: do you believe in love, and what's your take on love?
Oh my God, just last night I read this quote by
Yeah.
Osho that says you can't be in love. You are an energy of love, right?
True.
You attract what you are. And I think it's just about that energy of love. And love is so multi-dimensional.
Correct. Yeah.
We're not talking about the stereotypical sense of, oh my God, you're in love with a man, you're in love with a woman. I mean, today, for heaven's sake, I've also fought the battle for decriminalization of homosexuality for a friend.
No, because this is something very interesting I want to share with everyone. I mean, it was Valentine's Day, and everybody has these posts and holding hands and going for romantic dinners and lunches, and you have Neha's Instagram post, and where she says she puts these roses, not very romantic looking, but nice roses, I must say, and she says, "Oh God, at least I got roses from my clients." And I said, yes, that means your clients love you. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to be loved by that A man or B or whatever. Yeah.
No, but I think I think it all, I really believe in this. If you don't have love within you, you'll
Yeah.
never be able to give it to
Yes,
someone.
yes.
You cannot have your happiness or love dependent on somebody from the outside. It has to come from within. And the minute it comes from within, you will suddenly find, you are magnetic then, and you just will suddenly find people will come into your life and never leave. Like there are times I want to get rid of people. I'm like, please, I've had enough of them, but निकलते ही नहीं है. और एक फेविकॉल का जोड़ है, निकलते ही नहीं है.
No, but but I'm asking you about.
Of course I believe in love.
This whole Disney princess syndrome and these fairy tales. Do you really believe in that?
I
whole
believe in
aspect?
magic.
Okay, miracles. Okay.
I believe
Then-
in magic. I think and energetic magic.
Okay.
And somehow an energy just connects with you, and that is magical.
Okay.
So that's I can't say it's a fairy tale, but it's a
Okay.
factual fairy tale.
Okay.
Because fact is anyway greater than fiction, I believe.
I mean, my belief in this whole thing is that the way we define love, and when we hold conditions to it and say that it should last or it should be this.
But love by its very nature is unconditional.
Right.
Because so I've broken this down with my spiritual guru. What is love? Love is a complete acceptance of yourself, of the person you love or the object you love. The minute you start saying, oh, I love you, but you know what? I want you to be a particular size, or I want you to I want you to learn something, or I want you to get
Right.
better at something. You're not accepting that person. So how do you love them? If you love someone, you accept them as a whole and you help them be the best version of themselves.
Okay, but from a critic's point of view, what's your opinion on what's happening these days with men and relationships, and what is it like these days?
Well, it's very unfortunate. I feel, and I'm not a cynic about marriages, and I do believe in the institution of marriage, because I have seen my dada dadi were married for like 55, 50.
I mean, that's like, let's not.
Yeah, 60 odd years.
I mean, those days.
No, but it was beautiful, the bond that
yeah,
they shared, like
yeah.
62 odd years that they were
Right.
together. It was beautiful. My parents' death did them part. And with my dad kind of, he was a very intuitive man also, and he told me that, like, I'm going at 10, get my machines off. And he told my mom bye and said, leave the room before I go. I would love to be in a relationship like that where, death does us part, because I do believe all good things come to an end. It's fine, you accept that as well. I do believe in the idea of
But
love.
how is it now? I mean, are you getting that with men?
You do, but it's also, you have to lower your expectations, right? You can't expect someone to be custom made, tailor made, and to just be everything. Are you that first? Look at yourself.
Okay, so no, one thing is lowering your expectations. Okay, the other thing is being what you want in the other person. When you say lowering your expectations, it could also say you're settling. Are you going to settle for somebody? I mean, is that
No, but you accept the person for what they are. Don't come with unreasonableness, because
Unreasonableness,
know
yeah,
what
yeah,
you
yeah.
want. You can have it all. We can all have it all. I love the song. I can have it all, but define your all. You can't expect someone to be perfect. You can't expect someone else to be to make you happy, because the problem is, if you expect someone else to make you happy, you're not happy within
Yeah.
yourself, and they'll never be able to make you happy.
But you know what I'm noticing? I mean, it's a lot of people, whether it's your generation or, I've seen even people who are in their 20s for that matter. There's a lot of loneliness these days.
But
People are not finding that.
This recent movie
Yeah.
on Netflix, right? That one, which Ananya Pandey on about
Yeah, good one.
life on social media and all
Right,
of that.
right.
I think a lot of it is about social media. Like, so many times, and I do this stupidity myself, and I'm consciously trying to break that pattern. We're sitting with people, and we'll all be on our phones.
So we're not present.
We're not present in the moment. When you're
Okay.
not present in the moment, are you enjoying that moment? So where are you building bonds? Where are you, understanding the other human being? So you're so, living in a bubble, living in
So
a.
people are seeing so much of a fake life on
Yeah,
social media
correct.
that you're saying that the expectations what women are and men are creating are unrealistic,
realistic.
and hence that's what's causing loneliness,
That's
because
what's
you're
called,
not investing
and
in that present
as a
moment.
and you're not
Right.
investing in yourself. And I've reached that stage where I like being alone, but that's not loneliness, that's
Yeah.
solitude. I like my me time.
Right, right.
I like to get into my room after a point,
Yeah.
and I moved my piano into my room, so there are times late in the night I'll just be playing my piano,
Yeah,
and that for me is my highest moment. That's my moment of complete surrender. That's my moment of complete expression of love, because I'm doing what I love, and it makes me happy.
So another interesting question. So what is it you're looking for in a man, and what is it which, the qualities? I mean, I know we don't have our checklist, but you do have your basic
I think
non-negotiables.
think
Okay?
respect, for me, to be able to respect someone is most important. And that doesn't mean that, you have to be a particular, you have to look a particular way, or you have to have, it's beyond the material.
Respect for each other, you
Respect-
mean? Or
respect
you want
for
to
him.
respect for them, so they need to have certain kind of
Well,
value systems, integrity.
yes, integrity is very important, I feel. For me, somebody who has an abundance mindset.
So is that easy to find these days,
Of
integrity?
course it is. You'll be surprised. Just to find somebody you can respect. Of course, there are people you can respect, but what are you looking to respect them for? The material or the non-material?
Right,
And the
right.
non-material includes integrity. Are you looking for? I'm looking for someone who has an abundance mindset. That's very different from someone who has an abundance. Someone can have pots of things,
Absolutely.
pots of money, but yet not be very kind-hearted. So I'm looking for someone who's kind and generous,
Yeah.
and that takes an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
That because that's something I align with.
Yeah.
So I think it's about just and also you have to be able to be friends. You can have a conversation.
Right,
At the end of the day, I think nothing is more beautiful than being able to just talk to somebody freely, to express yourself without fear, to express yourself without holding back.
So being in the legal field, I know you're a corporate lawyer, but commercial litigations. But have you come across a lot of divorce cases? Have you done those?
I don't. I've never. There's one divorce case that I did for a very dear friend, and it broke my heart. It really just
It
broke
does,
my
yes.
heart. I do, in that sense. I am a romantic at heart. I do believe in love. I feel you can never. You can't stop caring for someone you've cared for, and I just feel that transition period where you're falling apart, you get unnecessarily get dirty, and I feel that you can stop being man and wife, but you can't stop being parents together.
No, that's true. But do you feel divorce is a big taboo in this
I
country?
don't think so. I think at the end of the day, as human beings, we're all born free. We have the right
But
to.
does society view it as a taboo? I mean,
Listen, society has at different stages of life.
Right.
Society has gone through its courses and motions, right? Once upon a time, sati was the thing.
Yeah, I
And then
know,
there
yeah.
came a period where there was the society itself kind of had a movement against sati. Parda was the thing. So there have always been concepts and social structures which have broken themselves, and we've moved ahead of that.
Yeah.
There was, look at homosexuality. It was once upon a time a big
Yeah,
taboo.
yeah.
It was the biggest taboo in England, and England is the place where it went
Right.
and gave full marriage rights.
So,
So-
do you feel pressure on yourself in terms of I have to get there was always a narrative a woman had here. I mean, whether you studied abroad, where you come from,
Oh,
and which kind of
which is
family.
I've never got
Right.
that. I did battle that pressure. I have to concede to that. It bothered me. Because
Did
especially
you set a mental timeline that okay, by I mean,
Yes,
I
of
remember
course.
growing up. I mean, I was a complete I felt I had by this age I should get married. By this age I should have my 2 children. This age, this career move, this. I thought it was all planned out. But yes, life taught me it doesn't work like that. So, do you have like a mental?
this version of me has nothing. I am as free can be.
Right.
I choose to be that way.
Yeah.
Because allow life to happen to you. Trust and
Absolutely.
surrender.
Yeah.
That is my biggest mantra.
Yeah.
Now, just trust and surrender, and magic happens. It really, really does. But you have to allow it to happen. If you are fixated with, I read this quote, and I think Mr. Bachchan had tweeted it, and it really resonated with me. That sometimes when you get what you want, be grateful. But when you don't get what you want, be even more grateful because something better is in store for you.
Absolutely, yes.
And I think that sometimes we as human beings get fixated on something that we want, but may not be the rightest thing for us. So I think it's to put your intention out there with humility and
Yes, manifestation. I feel I agree with you. You have to manifest and be very clear. on what you want.
and let
Yes.
it be. Things
Yeah.
happen
And
for you.
surrender to the
And the
universe.
best and only the
Correct.
best will happen as long as you're on a
Right.
path where your intention is clear. You are in oneness with the universe, and you're following a path of service or seva. And I really believe nothing is more powerful than being in seva to the universe, which for me is my form of spirituality, which is an act of
Right.
kindness for whoever's life you can touch. You don't
Yeah.
you don't have to expect anything in return from them.
So, touching on this topic of, you were one of the lawyers who was part of a petition for surrogacy
Yeah.
for widows and unmarried women.
No, so I'll tell you what. I have filed a petition on my own name challenging the prohibition of surrogacy on single unmarried women. Surrogacy for single divorced women and
Okay.
surrogacy for single widowed women is allowed,
Okay.
but the single unmarried women are left out. So I
Okay.
filed a petition in the Supreme Court challenging this prohibition,
Okay.
saying that there is no rational basis for keeping a single unmarried women out. Marriage cannot determine whether you can have a surrogate child or not.
But, and I think there was it was not
It's
accepted.
no, notice has been issued. The union has to file their reply. Of course, there was a lot of pushback from the bench. But
The bench felt that,
the social
age-
fiber,
yeah,
the social
they
fiber.
don't want children roaming around
Yeah.
without parents
But,
or something.
I think that's the choice we make. We choose our family after a point. At a soul level also, they say you choose your parents. And of course, when you marry somebody, you're choosing a family. You're choosing to procreate with them. So I think that, and if as a single parent, you're either adopting or you're getting a child into your life by whatever means, surrogacy or getting artificial reproductive technology, pregnancy down into yourself, you're choosing to get another human being in your life. So when you're making that conscious choice, it's that much more from your awareness, and that is that much more responsible that you're doing, and you have to hold that place for
So
them.
can you give me like the strongest pro argument for why single unmarried women should be included in this?
I think it's the right. So we have today the Indian Constitution, the Supreme Court has identified the right to privacy as a fundamental right.
Right.
The right to life and liberties, and you have the right. So within that, to live a complete life, motherhood is a choice that I think anybody should be allowed to make.
But
Right?
don't you think if suppose you're 25 and you decide I want to have a surrogate baby?
Okay.
You know, is that
But
something
you're a
is
grown
justified?
adult. You're a grown adult.
So you don't want to demarcate it by age or circumstances. A woman, regardless, unmarried woman, she doesn't have to be a widow
Or a divorced
or a
woman.
divorcee or whatever, but she should have the
Right
right to have
to
a surrogate child,
surrogate.
even if she's healthy. I mean, I'm just being the devil's
Well,
advocate
so
on this.
my thing is not, look, also what I said is that after a particular age they call you the geriatric pregnant women.
Right. That's
You come into that category where you don't feel geriatrics,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you're
I
put
mean,
into,
you have your monthly cycle, so I find that very awkward.
yeah,
Men are
but
not called geriatric. You
correct.
know, till you have 89-year-old men donating sperm here and there.
Correct. But yeah, it is what it is. So that is one concern from where this was coming. I'm not talking about a 25-year-old. I was
Right.
talking about somebody in their late
But
30s.
see, when a law like this is enforced, it can be abused also.
Yeah,
I mean, so from their point of view, if there's a little bit of an age factor or a health factor attached
Yeah.
to it, probably it could be something which could be looked on, is
Yeah.
what I say. Another interesting thing is there's a lot of chatter and about a woman's biological clock, and everybody is अच्छा बच्चे करने हैं तुमको so शादी करना है तो बच्चे करने हैं शादी करना है तो बच्चे करने
But
हैं. So how
all
do
of
you
that,
handle that?
I'll tell you something. I read again, I'm a sucker for reading beautiful quotes, and I read this somewhere, and I shared it with a very dear friend of mine as well, that everybody should aim to raise a family that doesn't need to be healed.
True.
We need to be at a place where we are ready within
That is
to
very
want
beautiful.
to commit ourselves to
Correct.
somebody else, to
Yeah.
commit ourselves to a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
I think you need to get rid of your own limiting beliefs, your own pain, your own emotional baggage.
Yeah.
Be at a place where you're free within,
Yeah, yeah.
you're aligned.
Don't bind yourself to
Yeah.
these.
Because otherwise you will mess it up.
Yeah.
There is a timing for everything.
Right.
You have to take that proactive step
Right.
also. Therefore, I did go file my petition. I did go freeze my eggs, and I'm happy to talk
No,
about
so
it.
when you speak about freezing your eggs, I feel science is wonderful, and these days you guys have this whole option of freezing your eggs, but women are shy to talk about it. So
But
a lot
why?
of them want to do it. They have done it. They won't talk about it. So I would love to hear
It
something
wasn't.
about
It wasn't the easiest thing I've done.
Right.
It is emotionally, mentally, physically, and
Right.
financially difficult.
Absolutely.
But you know what? The more you reiterate that it's difficult, it'll only be that much more difficult. Once you make that choice that, look, I want to do this because it's like an insurance policy
Correct.
I'm investing
Yes.
in, and in the hope one day that I want my children.
Why you will?
Of course,
Right.
so you do that
Yes.
for yourself.
Correct.
And you just with that mindset,
Yeah.
allow it to happen. It
Yeah.
won't be that difficult. But yes, there is stigma. I do know somebody who wanted to do it, and her father said, "No, log kya kahenge."
But
I'm like, and she actually spoke to me about it
Correct.
and she's like, "Can you go have a conversation with my parents?" And I went and spoke to her parents.
So people are very hush hush about it.
Yeah, but why?
And how old was she? I mean,
She was 37.
and she had to still take her father's
Permission.
permission. Oh my God! And was she working independent?
I mean, she was working in the family business.
Yeah. See, that's about it with Indian women. I mean, we do. It is love which holds us. That thing that we want to ask our family members because we care for them, but then there's that thin line where you have to develop your own,
yeah.
and that is why it's very interesting for me to bring out this aspect in someone like Neeha, who has lived a complete life. She's still young. She's believes in love. She believes in spiritualism. She believes in morality, and she's well educated. And these are things which you have done bravely, and you talk about it to
Of
everybody.
course, why not? I think
Yeah.
it's our, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
It's you own who you
It's
are.
not like you're signing a death warrant. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Now I'm retired and I'm old, and it is what now
it
young
is
girls
it
are
is
doing.
it is
Yeah. So Neha, what is the best advice someone would have given you?
So my best friend's mom, Dr. Jyotsna Suri, she's given me some really cool advice. Once she told me that always surround yourself with people who are who are sort of intellectually who you can intellectually learn from, because that'll push you harder. Once I asked her on time management, and she told me, listen, prioritize. Jo ho gaya, so ho gaya. Don't chase after what you can't do. You have to plan yourself in a way where that what you're doing, you're giving it your best. And I think that has kind of helped me, plan out
So
my
one
day.
is that it's surround yourself with people who are going to propel your dreams.
No,
grow
who are
with
going
you.
to sort of help put you on a path of growth. Like,
Okay.
if you can learn from them.
Yeah, I agree with you because you'll have 100 people commenting on what you want to do and who've not even walked
Yeah.
half that
Yeah.
path, and there's everybody who has an opinion.
Yeah.
And because I remember when I was also in London, and and I wanted to go on this whole health thing, and kya farak padta hai, today we're going to go out. People don't support
Yeah.
your goals.
Goals, correct.
And a goal can be a big goal or a small
Small goal, but
So I think that's a very valid thing, is
yeah,
that
yeah.
people who will respect your boundaries and support your goals.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the second thing you said was?
But time management, that I asked her because I think she's just beautiful with the way she manages so many things, and she also wears so many hats. And she's prioritized what you have to get done, and don't block your calendar too much, because what you're doing, be there in the
So
moment and get.
don't be a yes person all the time, and don't be
Yeah,
a people pleaser. In
correct.
short, that too, right?
Yes,
Because
that too.
that's a
That's
part
a yeah. That's
of
yeah.
prioritizing your time.
Correct.
You
Yeah,
don't
correct.
don't you think so?
And lastly, she said that don't look at a problem as a man would have handled it this way, and I'm a woman, I'll
That's
handle
a
it that
tendency
way.
which even I tend
Look
to
at it
look
as a
to.
problem, and look at it gender agnostically, and look at the solution also gender agnostically. That has also really
That's
helped.
beautiful advice that you've shared with all of us. Because
Yes.
I'll tell you something, it's a fact. I've used this many times. I mean, there's so many situations in today's world you're put in where you're like, but he would have handled it differently. Like when your father passed away,
Yeah.
I'm sure you were put in a situation when you were very young, 25, I think you said you were.
Yeah.
And at that time, you had this whole burden of financial burden, a family burden. You were the eldest one in the family, if I'm
I
not
mean, the eldest
mistaken.
sibling between my
Elder sibling, and you were suddenly left this protected Punjabi family, and you lost your father at 25. And it's not like you had a modern working mother.
Yeah.
And
She's sweet. She's been
and
amazing.
suddenly you had to take over the reins of the family. And I mean,
Grow up
did he
overnight.
leave a bed of roses for you to?
Not at all. We were brought up with a bed of roses, but when he went, there was quite a few thorns around. But you know what? I survived. It made me resilient.
Yes, but it was obviously not a very easy journey, and that's.
But I'm super grateful for every day of it.
Right.
It's
The reason, I mean, the thing is, I identify with Neha on this point is that we are put into circumstances. We in this
Yeah.
life, change is constant, and challenges are constant.
But you know what? If it wasn't for those challenges and in those difficult places, we'd never grow. And I think the purpose of being alive is to grow and evolve, to be the best version of yourself every day.
Yeah,
if
but we
things-
can't expect your 25-year-old self to have logically.
But it's the flow, right?
I'm sure you went through this journey of
Why me? Yes, of course.
why me, the confusion.
But from confusion comes
right.
clarity, right?
It does. See, that's what you started with.
Yeah,
You said
okay.
confusion in your
From
career,
I did.
confusion in your relationships,
Relationships.
confusion about knowing
Yeah,
who you
you
are
are.
as a person first.
But if it wasn't for that confusion, you don't dig deeper. You don't clean something that on the face of it all is
Right,
not dirty.
right.
And in that process of cleaning, you really make something sparkle. So
and that's how you can be an example for a lot of people, is what I feel.
Thank
So
you.
what is the most obnoxious advice you've been ever given?
that a fat guy can get a girl, but a fat girl can't get a
Oh
guy.
my God.
Yeah, that was.
But you believe that? I mean,
Bullshit.
okay.
Bullshit. I did believe it then.
Right.
But no,
Right.
you are. It's your energy. It's your. Anybody can
So
find.
some auntie?
Whoever it was.
Auntie. मोटे लड़के को मिल जाएगा but तुम्हें
It was
नहीं
a
मिलेगा.
it was a fat guy who told me
Oh
that.
my God, there was a fat guy who told you. Okay, so tell me something. If not that I believe this question is that important, but it's interesting. Is what advice would you give yourself 20 years ago? I mean, you've come a long way. You're still going, and you still have a long way to go. I know, but what advice would you give yourself 20 years ago? Neha.
That Neha.
Forget about everyone giving us advice. What advice would you give yourself?
Don't seek validation from outside. Own who you are. Just own who you are.
Yeah. So if someone would tell ourselves, our younger
Because I sought validation all the time from somebody or the other, right? Own who you are. Somebody else will only have a perception of you. They won't know your reality. You know
Right.
your reality. Own it. Because you don't own it, nobody else is going to own it.
we live in a society in Delhi, and a lot of metro cities, which can suck you in, and then you become a people pleaser. So what do you do to avoid that? And it can happen, whether it's your workplace, whether
No,
it's your
I
private
think you
life.
have to just, like I said, know who you are, enjoy being in yourself, like your solitude, and know when to switch off.
No. So what I want to ask you is, do you think society is superficial?
Again, that's a perception. Mine would be a perception, right?
Yeah.
What defines society? Who is the society? There are very real, authentic people out there, but then your vibe attracts your tribe. There are people who are chasing a dream because they're in
Right.
the ego. So that's a very different. You won't align with them. So it's all very fluid. It's all very perceptional. You can't. And in a way, everything is a maya. No, we are also here only for a limited period of time. So how does it matter? It's also transient.
Do you believe that there's a voice inside us and then there's these multiple voices outside us? And how do you tune out those voices and listen to that voice inside you? How do you do that for yourself?
Uh,
I mean, even now, even though you're evolved and you've arrived and
no,
you've
you
done
do
a
get
lot.
affected. It's
I'm
not
sure
that I
you
don't.
face
It's not that
days,
I
you
don't.
face
It's not that I
days.
don't get triggered. Of course, I
Right.
do when somebody will say something. The most of the times now I don't. I'm like it's water off a duck's back. But there are times things will trigger. We're only human beings. It's natural, and if it doesn't, that means something is wrong with you.
So it's human to be triggered.
It's human to be
It's
triggered,
human to
but
be
it's how you
triggered.
respond to that trigger and not
Absolutely.
react to it.
Yeah.
And you come back to you break it down.
So how do you do that?
I mean, absorb it, initially take it in, smile,
Right.
and be like, okay, maybe they're saying this for this. Like once recently, a client told me, oh, it's you're never available, and I was like, okay, why would you say that? Oh, that day you didn't come to court. I was like, hang on. It's not that I wasn't available. I knew exactly what was happening. Your senior counsel was briefed. My juniors were there. Everything went off well. I also knew that most probably the judge is going to adjourn it, but doesn't mean I was chilling. I was actually in another hearing for a client it was slightly more critical. I got
Right.
stuck there. So I said, let's do a balance of average. You had 10 hearings. Out of that, how many have I been in? She said 9. I said, so on the basis of one, you're saying I'm never available. So then she herself was left saying, okay, but pehle bata dete. I said, okay, my bad. I'll let you know next time. So I think it's also you have to see where the other person is coming from, right? They're coming from a place of stress because her husband's in custody.
Yes.
They expect a little. What are their expectations? So you can't let somebody else's perception
Correct.
trigger your reality.
You have to understand that anyone's behavior is actually their inner state.
Their inner thing.
And it doesn't necessarily have to do with you.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is what I think.
I
you're trying to
recently
say.
had this woman
Yeah.
who's I don't know for whatever which reason got very intrigued by me. I have no idea. I don't know her, and she went around asking 4 or 5 people in common whom we knew. Coincidentally, again, I didn't know that about me, and when it reached me, I really got angry. I like my space. I don't know you, and then I broke it down. I said, where is she coming from?
Yeah.
Maybe she has some aspiration, maybe she just wants to know something, maybe she's heard something about me
Yeah.
and she wants to know me.
Yeah.
I don't know, just you have to really go down to
I
the
mean,
root.
our first instinct is to be protective about our
That's
energies
true,
and
yeah,
our space
yeah,
because
yeah,
you've
yeah.
worked very hard to create your
that
boundaries and your
yeah,
energies
yeah.
in your space. Very
I think patience is very important in
Patience
everything.
is, of
Very
course.
important and just breaking things down, like absorbing, observing.
So basically, responding rather
Rather
than
than
reacting
reacting,
is the
yeah,
most important
important
thing.
thing.
And in practicing it in real life
Life
is what
is-
you've
yeah.
done, which is what helps you in your personal and your professional life.
Yeah.
So tell me something. Being a lawyer, a woman lawyer, see, people have this whole opinion about doctors and lawyers. They have become very automatic. I myself have experienced that in both cases. My parents both suffered from cancer and both passed on. And to an extent, when I used to go to the cancer oncologist, I felt he was just like, it's like just an attendance. He knew my mother was going to die or he had taken it for granted. And it was just like, ticking the box. And I didn't feel there was much personal involvement. And I must say, there was a lady oncologist, her name was Dr. Bhavna. She was excellent, excellent. She wasn't jaded with the number of people she treated. She was working for Tata Memorial Hospital. She was just, she was the right balance for her personal involvement and this. It's the same way I feel lawyers, you know, if somebody's in custody, oh, it's not a big deal, chale jayega, hota hai, time lagta hai, tumhe pata hai. But you, on the other hand, I mean, whenever I've dealt with you, I felt you had that mix of personal involvement, and that didn't make you weaker. And also, you did your work, you know. And that's what I want to ask you. How do you maintain that thin line of, like I was a client, I became a friend. It's been 15 years. You can't do that to everybody. And how do you balance that personal involvement and at the same time don't get sucked into it, because you'll get mad with 100 clients. I understand that.
So see, that didn't happen overnight, right? I had to have my own journey of understanding what was going on around me. So 2016 was a very defining year when I kind of realized that a lot of my anxiety, stress, negativity is coming from where I'm consuming all of that from whoever I was interacting with. Was this agency's after us. अरे यार उसने tender cancel कर दिया. अरे यार ये कल it had to happen as of yesterday. That was just stress, negativity, angst. And I started living with that because I was consuming it. I didn't realize at that point that energy is contagious. When I got rid of body image issues and I started going inward, my own peace started mattering to me. And when peace starts coming to you in the inside, you have clarity of who you are. You start connecting with yourself and you start connecting with people better. And then I realized that, look, what I do, nobody comes to a lawyer and a doctor happy. How do I deal with that negativity that they're coming with? They want to be heard. They want somebody who can give them that solace that, look, you're going through shit, but this too shall come to an end. And whatever it is will make your process easier. So you deal with whoever comes your way with a degree of compassion. Now that degree of compassion will vary with every client, because depending on where they are or how receptive they are. That takes for you to be a tad bit emotionally intelligent to be able to figure that out. Secondly, I think when it comes to protecting my own energy and keeping my calm, my own daily practices of maybe say meditation in the morning, or before I go to sleep, chit-chatting with a friend, or playing the piano or reading something aligns me to keep me on my feet for the next day. So it's a thin balance you have to survive, and there is also, you can't let anybody get under your skin. You have to say this much and no further while I'm being nice to you, but there is a threshold to it. And it takes experience, it takes understanding yourself, it takes understanding the process, and a degree of kindness to be able to do that.
Yeah, because what I really appreciate, and is something which I feel all our listeners and viewers should learn, is that you don't have to be cutthroat, shrewd, and you can maintain your femininity also.
Of course.
I mean, it's always a balance of the masculine.
You have to,
energy.
because even men have that Ardhanarishwara, the whole concept.
I personally feel women are much better in certain fields, and of course, I feel like women bring an extra. They're an advantage, because you have, and we should not let go of that in today's world. Just because it is a man's world and you are in that rat race, everything is a rat race. But that rat race,
see, then again, that rat race is a concept in your own head. What are you chasing after?
What are you chasing after? True.
At the end of the day, when you free yourself from within, I'm chasing nothing today. I've just at the cusp of turning 40, I remember I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, but I've hit all my, whatever I wanted to hit, I've kind of touched all my goals. She's like, even you'd say even with marriage and child, I'm like, but I'm not chasing it any longer. I know it'll come to me when it has to, but I want to be happy. When you free yourself from societal concepts of bucket lists and checklists, is when you're truly free within. When you're truly free within, you realize that, you already have it all.
Yeah.
And then that rat race doesn't matter. What am I chasing after? And if I'm constantly chasing after the next big thing, what I have today, I'll never enjoy it. So I'll always be unhappy.
Yeah.
When you choose your own happiness, your own solitude, suddenly things just shift for you. You're more magnetic.
I just feel we as women are natural empaths. We are born as daughters.
But you'd be surprised. I think gender is again human construct. you'll be surprised where a lot of men are also can be sensitive, can be empaths, but it's just masculinity, the worldly form of masculinity does not allow them to show it.
Especially so in India.
Yeah.
The conditioning is such,
Yeah,
you know. And also, like, I just feel like being an empath, being a woman here, you're a daughter, you're a sister,
Yeah.
you're the wife, you're the daughter-in-law. Even when we go to our workplaces, it's very difficult to leave behind what we are and what defines us a little bit, and then suddenly become that shrewd woman. So it's beautiful to hear how you have balanced your softer side and how you've maintained it
But
and
it's
what
a
you
conscious
do.
choice. You have to come into your
Right.
awareness for that
Yeah.
to know what you want to
You
be.
know.
You have to ask yourself that question that I love today being in my feminine. I don't care if I went to court like this with a bindi, with a sari, with,
Right.
but I feel good about myself and I do what makes me feel good about
Right.
myself. And
Yeah.
you know what? That's what makes me happy.
But so it's the way, the way you're dressed. And I mean, for me, you're looking smart, you dress for yourself, you lost weight for yourself, you eat healthy for yourself. But do you think there's an opinion out there? People are watching, okay?
So be it.
So, yes, this is something I want to convey to everybody also, that you'll always have someone watching you,
कुछ तो
commenting on
लोग
you.
कहेंगे, लोगों का
लोग
काम है
कहेंगे
क्या?
कि अरे look, बिंदी पहन के सज धज के आई है या जो भी है, you dress up, people will comment on you. If you dress down, people will comment on you. So you have to come to a point where you are comfortable with what you're doing for yourself is what you're saying. I remember once when I was I had to go to court, and my lawyer said to me, very senior lawyer, he says to me, just dress down and come. And I looked at him and I said, why? The merits of my matter are not good enough. I mean, I have to look a particular way. A woman has to look a particular way.
Perception again, right?
And what about men? Okay, I know men don't wear the same white, black, blue shirt and same pants, but we are
have the right
we
to
are proud
be,
of being women. We are
yeah,
proud
of
of being, and
being
we have to enjoy our life. And
femininity,
this is a
correct.
part of our feminine energy, you know. So I thank you a lot, Neha, for being here today and sharing your point of view and your journey. And I'm sure
Thank
it's
you for
going to
having
be
me.
very inspiring for a lot of people. As you know, it's an ongoing journey, and I'm sure we'll have another session with Neha soon, because
Hopefully.
a lot of new things to talk and discuss about. And let me know what everybody thinks about all this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.